So let's go with the first speaker. Welcome to all our speakers. And we start with Chico Whitaker. Chico is an architect and a social activist. He was counselor in Sao Paulo for the Workers' Party. And he's executive committee secretary of the Brazilian Commission for Justice and Peace.
La semaine prochaine, on pourra.
I think there's some disturbance from the translation, one of the translators. Mike, could you see about that? Executive Secretary of the Brazilian Commission for Justice and Peace, and he is a co-founder of the World Social Forum. He is a member of the Coalition for Brazil Free of Nuclear Power Plants, and he is also a winner of the 2006 Alternative Nobel Prize. Chico, over to you. You have 7 minutes.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. I represent, I am a member of this commission in Brazil, which was founded by the Catholic Church in Brazil. I work in different areas, but especially the nuclear issue. In Brazil, you know, we got some problems. We would like to be. There are some technical problems. I cannot hear him very well. The president is really unprepared to deal with this issue, to find a solution, sort out a solution to the problem. Sometimes his solutions can even worsen the scenario. He would like to arm a population to solve different kinds of issues, and by using physical actions and but there are other issues on which he tries to go a bit forward. I had the possibilities to participate in the organization of the forum, World Social Forum, and the Brazilian people wanted to build a forum that is the opposite of the Davos Forum. That is, we wanted to oppose all the people that wanted to go on dominating the world. So, and we decided to build up our own world, our own forum, in order to overcome this domination and neoliberalism policies. So we wanted to overcome this domination approach, and then after the first World Social Forum was a real success. Now we would like to organize a forum that it could be as successful as the first Davos forum, and we want to increase the number of the participants. So we are adapting quite rapidly all the organization, and this will be. So we asked which were the reasons of the Davos success, and we started to reflect upon all the preparation issues. and we are still in an orientation stage. The forum, so won't be a forum based on the parties, but this forum will be the occasion, will provide the opportunity to all civil society organizations and movements to be to be represented at an international level to make our action even more effective. So this basic idea, this is a space for so civil society, and this idea has been characterize the orientation of the forum. And since then, of course, we also adopted different orientations, but always starting from this basic idea. Since we know that civil society is highly fragmented, and there are so civil society should try to work as a whole, and this is the first time, so has to be more effective through the meeting. It was very important, the meeting in Seattle, because civil society on that occasion worked very hard, and they were very organized without any authorities behind them to take these initiatives and making use of all the resources that gathered in Seattle. Starting on this idea, we thought that it was important to involve the political world, but especially civil society, without any kind of political manipulation or involvement. So we would like to be autonomous, but by respecting our diversity, and we already saw that it is a great advantage because in order to overcome capitalist domination, we cannot just change powers, but we should envisage a deep change of society itself that has been overwhelmed, dominated by one thing, that is a logic of capitalism that was always oriented towards profits, and a culture that is that was already dominating Europe and the world, that is capitalism, and that is competition culture, that according to which each one has to obtain what he wants by doing whatever he wants without any solidarity perspective. That is, each one for oneself, achieving his own goal. It is the dominating global culture. And so we said we should overcome this culture through cultural change. So civil society should intervene in institutional issues, but also in cultural issues, that is a change, so as to change people's mindset and shifting to a society that might be based on common well-being, solidarity, and the need to be united in order to change the world. So it is from this perspective that we have started to build the first World Social Fora, and the success was due to this very perspective. And is we want to create space, being competitive towards each other, but we want a space so that civil society could identify in each other. So that is, we should avoid any kind of competition between different movements that were, fighting to reach hegemony on their territories. So we said the forum will be a meeting space, a reflection space, research, new research space, aiming at the very wide, overarching actions with all the necessary measures to change capitalist culture and society. This is from this perspective that we started to work, and my experience was this kind, and we have organized the second forum, World Social Forum, and the success of the first forum obliged the group of the Brazilian group to organize a second forum that was even more successful. We had 5,000 people, 50,000 people, and even the third forum saw more participants. So we thought that we had to enlarge our experience beyond Brazil, and so that we could take all the advantages from this event. And so we thought that it was important that even all the other countries could go through this educational experience, thanks also to our organizations. And after a lot of debate, we put forward the proposal of FAD fora that had been accepted by Brazilian people and also other countries. And then we organized the first forum beyond Brazil in Mumbai, in India, which was as well a huge success. And then we started to organize another forum in Brazil after the India, after 2005. So it has been a very long process, and we realized that the reason of the success that it was not managed by anyone, but it has to be an open space where all the kinds of debate were possible and people were free to make their own choice, and so we decided to open up to new networks and new organizations, and we had to think of the first forum after the multilateral agreement in Latin American, which gave birth to Latin American network. And this agreement, investment agreement, also was a very important step forward, thanks to the action that was originated within the forum. And so all these movements were created to work together against this agreement, which was a kind of repetition of the multilateral investment agreement, AMI, that started in Europe, pretended to be a global agreement in the interest of multinational agency. I think that I can stop here. And of course, I wanted to give you an idea of my personal experience. Thank you.
Thank you, Chico. Thank you very much. You were pretty much within the time limit. Thank you. Are there any announcements with regard to the translation that you might want to say, Mike, before we go on to the next speaker?
Yes, hi. We are having some challenges on the interpretation. Mostly it's going well. I apologize for the lack of some Spanish, French to Spanish. Again, I would ask you just to check through other channels to see if there's another language that you can follow where we have those gaps. We're not able to provide all the language pairs we would like, but we will do the best we can. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. We go on to Gautam Modi. Hello, Gautam. Gautam is General Secretary of New Trade Union Initiative. It's one of the organizations which were involved in hosting the WSF 2004 in Mumbai. Gautam represented the NTUI in the India Organizing Committee, and he was active in the Social Forum's international process until 2010. Gautam.
Thank you, Meena. I'm delighted to be here at this meeting to meet old campaigners and friends of the World Social Forum and make some new ones. Looking back now, decade and a half and more, what did the World Social Forum mean to us? And I do want to begin by saying it meant a whole lot. It meant a whole lot because it formed the first site where we began to meet and to build a resistance globally as the world had moved from being a bipolar world to a unipolar world. It brought, in a sense, an opportunity for us to actualize how we might address the question of global solidarity, but also solidarity between us. But I'll turn to that in a moment. If one actually wants to measure the success of the forum, perhaps the gravest attack that we suffered in the unipolar world, in a sense, was the American imperialist attack on Iraq in 2003. And really, if one thinks about the demonstrations that took place even before the Iraq war, the ones notably on the 15th of February 2003, what possibly even till today are the single largest demonstrations ever in the history of our planet. The discussions for these began at the third forum in January 2003 at Porto Alegre. The decisions on the date were taken there, and it's really from there that the word went out. The call for 15th of February went out. That marked, I think, a very important moment in a world that really was not brought together by the internet as it is today. Coming together in Porto Alegre against what we were going to be faced with really, in a way, defined us. It provided a meeting ground for debate, a meeting ground for discussion, and for those agreeable, a meeting ground for decision. But it was more than that. It was importantly a meeting ground, in a sense, learning from the 20th century that we needed to build a movement that may or may not be led by political parties. We may have different views on how political parties affect change, especially social change, but it recognized paramount the power of people in terms of their representation in mass organizations and people's movements. And this was a critical step forward if one thinks about it. The 20th century, referred to by some by, um, the 20th century, in a sense, was dominated, or even the world of progress was dominated by political parties. And the 21st, we really, as we moved away from that bipolar world, this was a very, very important experiment. So it wasn't just a question of meeting outside of political parties. The point was, it was about democratization of our own organizations, democratization of our movements, and democratization of our solidarity. It's in that sense that the forum also played a very crucial role when it traveled to India. India has a long history of progressive movements dating back to our own self-determination and independence movement, which threw up the ultimate sort of rainbow coalition, as it were, of forces of progress, ranging from organic, of course, the organic Gandhian movement, a very organic socialist movement or social democratic movement in a global sense, and then, of course, a rich, diverse communist movement that represented every hue within the communist divide. Also through a society that throws up incredible challenges in terms of stratification within the working class, in terms of caste, community, religion, and of course gender and patriarchy. The World Social Forum was a site which, post the unipolar world, which in the Indian context was, especially in the context of the Indian left, quite strongly dominated by the presence of the Soviet Union and what the Soviet Union represented, provided an opportunity, an extraordinary historical opportunity for us to come together, not just as organizations, but on issues as well. It opened our eyes to things that we had never talked about in the trade union, and correspondingly in the women's movement, it opened up questions of the working class that had perhaps not been talked about, and so on and so forth. I think what it brought into every section of the movement was very importantly a recognition of the most marginalized of our societies, be it religious minorities, be it historically discriminated castes, and of course, at the base of it, it was to build a unity and a solidarity to defeat imperialism, and to defeat the emergent right in our own country. It's ironical, of course, that 15 years down the road, we're faced with a right wing that's sharper, harsher, and fiercer than it was when we hosted the forum in Mumbai in 2004. I can say this from the experience in India. We have been through a richness in both the coming together across organizations, across constituencies. But I can speak for my own organization, which had huge divisions in 2003, whether to join the forum or not, and enormous criticism within the organization when we decided not just to join it, but also to participate in organizing and hosting the forum very actively. It was an enriching and learning process, which threw up challenges, potentially divided our organization, but it also marked a coming together of ties within the organization that went beyond formal notions of how a organization such as a left trade union ought to be constructed. It opened us to new rules of democracy. The other day I was talking with Meena, and I said to her that I'm the general secretary. I've been the general secretary of the NTUI from 2013, and the comrade who's president actually was opposed to the forum. He sat outside the forum, and of course there was a whole section of the organization that not just sat outside the forum, but it sat across the forum, building its own resistance, which they called Mumbai resistance, as many of you who were around at that time will recall. And looking back at that, I mean, I think that's part of the richness of the process. I remember we were very unusually, when it was announced, we tried our best to get those comrades in. They were our own comrades. Um, um, I mean, there's a very important electrical workers union within our organization that handled the electrification on both sides of the road. So, you know, I think what it threw up was our ability to learn to live with each other, and I think this is a very important journey in the politics from the 20th century to the 21st century. Going forward, I mean, I believe the World Social Forum was important in the context of the early 21st century, beginning with the resistance against treaties of global trade, the WTO in Seattle in 1995. On the one issue of global trade, the WSF sort of provided an opportunity of a more fuller discussion amongst organizations and movements on addressing larger on all of the questions that concern us. That said, I think the assaults that we faced in terms of the global crisis of 2008 and the rise of the right wing in most parts of our world, whether in Brazil or in India or in Turkey, or for that matter in the United States or the UK, alongside the emergence of big tent progressive parties, social movement parties like the Podemos and the Syriza, learning from the very rich emergent democratic socialist experience from Latin America. I think the World Social Forum needs to go beyond what was our learning of as mass organizations, of mass movements, sans political parties. And I think this requires a lot more debate of how we're going to integrate. And I dare say it also requires a lot more integration between North and South. Some of those divisions remain, some of those divisions persist. In some places we've crossed thresholds, but these are divisions which I believe we need to address. But I think significantly and I will close with this, we must address ourselves to how we're going to deal with the new right or the far right. And in that context, what is it that we need to build on to be able to assert this right globally as we fight these fights against the far right within our national boundaries. Thank you.
Thank you, Gautam. If we don't have any intervention from Mike, we can go forward.
No, I think it's going all right, but please bear with us. I do know there is no French, Spanish, and we're having problems with English, Spanish, but I will try and sort them out.
Can somebody do a translation? If any of the participants are able to translate in the chat box for French, Spanish? Is that what you said was missing? French, Spanish?
We had a problem with French, Spanish, and then with English, Spanish. Don't worry, we'll see if we can set up relay interpretation.
Okay.
But please be patient.
Thank you. Now we heard Chico Whitaker from Brazil about the experience of the organizing and the context of the social forum in Brazil, and Gautam, who spoke about India. And now we have Amuda Sobi, who will speak about, who is from Morocco. He works for the Morocco Council for Human Rights. He's chairman of Forum of South Alternative Morocco. He is also at the same time one of the co-founders of Alternatives and Alternatives Morocco and other Moroccan and African organizations working for human rights. He is currently responsible for the Secretariat of the International Council of the World Social Forum. He will speak about, hopefully, about the Maghreb as well as the African experience. Amuda?
For learning and sharing experiences. We begin from Morocco for the forum from the beginning, right? From the discussion well held in France and Switzerland and in Brazil. We follow up a lot of things on that issues. We create the first forum, Moroccan Social Forum in 2002, and we begin from the beginning. The more important, the things really important on that, it's that Chico remember it well. It's on 2001. It was in Senegal. It was the first real international council meeting, and it was very marvelous because it was a lot of debate how to do the chart and the discussion on the chart and a lot of things. And after that, we should go to Porto Alegre to decide about the chart of the charter of the WSF. And this was really nice to see after 20 years that we still alive and still dynamic, because in Africa we hold four social forums and one how they call it the forum how they call it in French, it's délocalisé. There was in Mali was Mali, Karachi, and Caracas, and it was nice in 2006. And in that moment, all the forums that we organized was with a lot of difficulties, because how Africa, it's not Brazil, it's not Europe, it's not United States or Canada, because a lot of difficulties to travel, a lot of difficulties. The people comes from country to country, and it was very hard to mobilize people. But it was a good mobilization because the people take the roads and the caravans, and it was an international African mobilization. It was really interesting on the fourth forum passing in Africa. If I want to go exactly on the discussion, like Chico said, and it was really difficult because there is a lot of competition between the organizations, a lot of competition between the Reds, the networks, a lot of competition between the big organization and the smallest one. And this is why the principle of the forum to have self-organization activities and things help a lot the smallest organization to organize themselves and to discuss and to share with the internationals like Latin America or Asia or Europe or in Canada or North America. It was a lot of experiences that we take from those forums, and a lot of initiative. I can remember, the land grabbing. It was one of the first raids in networks in Africa. Was in land grabbing, food sovereignty, question of climate. And it was networks that 20 years that people are still working and still having this opportunity to work together. That a lot of experiences goes from this World Social Forums in Africa and build a lot of synergy and alliances in whole Africa. After, like I said, after 2011, when the forum was in Dakar, it came with a lot of uprising in Africa, specifically in North Africa, in Morocco, Algeria, Tunisia, Libya, Egypt. It was an uprising, a marvelous uprising, and came at the same time with the forum in Dakar, and gives Dakar another format of the forum, because there was a lot of participation of those countries. Those countries who before that, there was a lot of repression on those countries, a lot of people on jails, and a lot of problems in the North African civil society, a lot of how they call it, violence and things like that. And after that, it was a festive. It was like never a forum can be held with this marvelous mobilization around Africans around the world, because it was a new things coming from the mobilization and for the civil society in Africa, and that make us more conscious about what we can do after that, because the forum in Dakar give us a big opportunities to help and to build more connection with the world, and more connection with the movement on the world. I remember after Dakar, it was how they call it, a lot of discussion in the Maghreb, in the North Africa movement, about how we can hold this enthusiasm, how we can call it, how we can support this enthusiasm and bring something to the region. And this is how the decision in Paris to have the World Social Forum in Tunis, it was like a gift to the revolutionary or the uprising in the region, and to mobilize people who arrived in Tunis in 2011, 12, and 13, see all these young people, and they have, those young people was not affiliate in a civil society movement or movement. They create their own organizations, open organizations, and gives like a fresh air to the movement of like 15 years or 13 years that the forum exists, or 12 years that the forum exists. It gives a new opportunity to the World Social Forum, because after Dakar, it was like a little bit down, and a lot of problems coming from the International Council, a lot of discussion, and this uprising gives this hope and this dynamic to continue the World Social Forum. And in Tunis, what happened, it's the revolution happened in North Africa, create a lot of things. Occupy in New York, Carré Rouge in how they call it, red Carré Rouge, they call it, the name was Carré Rouge in Quebec, the M15 in Spain, a lot of movement created in the same time, and gives the forum in Tunis a big movement, that 50 or 60% of the participation was young, and there was an open forum in the forum made by the youth, and a lot of, it was a very enthusiast and dynamic situation. And this is my first point in the history in how the forum gives a lot of things. In our experiences in Africa, like I said, we create a lot of dynamics. Like a 10 dynamics was made, is the union dynamic, women's dynamic, peace and war dynamic, climate dynamic, youth dynamic, um, economic and civil rights, a lot of dynamics still until now working without the forum. This is why the people said there is no action in the forum, but it's not true, because each dynamic took his action and take his and continue the work all over Africa, meets North and South Africa, because like you know, in Africa there is a, like he said, our friend from India, we in Africa, we suffer from two languages, French or English. And the people in French Africa, they work on together. And the English Africa work together. And this give this opportunity that North and South can meet and can discuss and create alliances still now working on it. And it's easy now to mobilize Africans about anything, uh, um, anything um, uh, uh, coming or defending or mobilizing on women's issues, climate issues, land grabbing issues, workers issues. And this is what we learn and what we gain from this experience of 20 years of the social forum. It's not easy. It's not easy because there is a lot of difficulties. The difficulties came first from this um, competition, like I said before, this competition between the big NGOs and big networks that have a lot of money and the smallest that they have no voice. How we can reach this without saying that the forum, it was, like I said, difficulties to connect people between them, connect movement between them. It was these challenges to make and to continue. And not forgetting or not that this pandemic, what happened now, it's not easy to us to continue this work because of the situation, economic situation, this competition, and this cannot give us a clear view for the future because it's difficult to build and from the past. And it's really important to build from the past. We cannot go further if we don't know what happened to us. And this is one of the challenges that we have now. It's how we can rebuild these networkings and how we can reach more movement and new movement also, because a lot of movement is not um, um, uh, 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 link to the social forum, or there's a lot of youth, a lot of young generation that we need to uh, uh, memorize, give them the memory of what happened in the 20 years of, uh, of the forum. And one of the questions that we can ask, uh, why these forums? Why these forums don't give actions, and why these forums are are existing? But Chico, in one of a lot of his writing, speak about that, because the the genius of the forum, it's this continuation of the forum even that there is a lot of movement are going out, like MST in Brazil, like March of Women. There are big organizations. They don't need a forum. They don't need it. They don't need a forum. They are already in connection between them. But the forum is a space. It's a space for all the new experiences and sharing these experiences. And one of the things that is really important also is the when we decide to go to Canada, the Canadians, they are youth. A lot of them are youth. They have they are not belong to organizations. They was young from the movement. They are in the movement, and they create the forum. It was a lot of people that didn't want, because the experiences show us that all the forum until Montreal, it was the forums made or organized by organizations, unions, because they, in the chart, or not in the chart, but in the principle of how to organize a forum, there was like a something read. We read it and we send it to all the forums that we must have organization, unions, women's, and etc. That we have this must be the facilitation group to organize the forum. Canada was a different. There was a young people, youth. They do another thing. It was good. Even there was a lot of problem of visas and things and that, and things that the organization was different. And this is why I think we can learn from the past and let a lot of things happen, and let the people move. Another last point that I want to really put on light, it's that the World Social Forum or the Council, they had a commission called Expansion Commission. This Expansion Commission worked a lot. We decided in the International Council to open to the Arab world, the Africans, the Iraqis, the Syrians, the Palestinians or Jordanian, all the Arab region. Also for Asia, Bangladesh, we were in Bangladesh to discuss. We were in Taiwan also. Xinjiang, remember that a lot of discussion was in Taiwan, how we can make a social forum in Taiwan. And it was an experience in Taiwan, in Kunshin, I think it's South Taiwan, the first forum in Taiwan. And it was really important in Kurdistan. We were in Kurdistan discussing, and we have a forum in Kurdistan, Syrian, Turkish Kurdistan. And it was really important to discuss with this movement and bring him back in the forum, in the area of the forum, in Diyarbakir, in Dhaka, in Bangladesh. It was really interesting to see how a lot of babies were created. And last point, it's the other babies. It's the thematic forums. Like I said, maybe 14 to 15 thematic forums are existing now in the world. And this, now they are autonomous. They don't need the World Social Forum, but they are still, each 2 years we have a forum, thematic forum. And all these experiences, we can discuss it later, but it's really important to have this. And thank you very much, Kinshi, and everybody for this, and Mina for this opportunity. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Amuda. That was very instructive, a lot of information, a lot of things we didn't know. And just to tell everybody that we have about 6,500 Chinese participants on the live streaming. So it's reaching a large part of Asia, which is what we intended from Forum Connect. Thank you, all of you from China who are on the live chat, on the live, viewing the live streaming, a part of the live streaming. Now we have Carminda McLaurin from Canada. She is a sociology PhD student, and she has been coordinator of the Facilitating Collective for organizing the social WSF Montreal 2016. Carminda, are you there?
I am here. Mina, how are you? Thank you for inviting me. So it's a real pleasure to be here with you, especially with a public that is across the world. I am indeed in Canada. I was, as you said, one of the coordinators of the World Social Forum in Montreal. I just finished actually my PhD working on spaces of mobilization like the World Social Forum and also like Occupy and other mobilizations like this that try to open spaces to for the social society to gather. I am also the director of an organization called Cataliso that is supporting also the organization of this virtual social forum that is arriving in December, in January, I'm sorry. So the World Social Forum indeed occurred in Montreal in 2016, and it was one of the small forums, let's say, to say it like that. We gathered around 35,000 people here in Montreal. And as Hamuda pointed out, we were a little bit different because we were indeed an organizing collective mainly led by youth, but also evidently by many other people that are were not necessarily young in the body, but young in the mind. That is as important, I think, of course. And this was in the movement that was created, as Hamuda said, also by the North African region and the printemps, the spring that was motivating the whole world actually to mobilize in 2000 after 2011. I have been participating to the World Social Forum since Tunisia, actually, even if I was studying the World Social Forum before. The World Social Forum 2016 collective was definitely charmed by this, by the Charter of Principles and this willingness to, as Chico pointed out earlier, to create spaces where diversity could coexist, because definitely that is a challenge in the global civil society, that we have a difficulty to work together as we are not necessarily using the same words, not only because we speak different languages, but also because we come from different political cultures. And so that was totally charming for us to open a space where we could address power relations, where we could address hierarchies that normally exist within civil society, and try to establish points of dialogue and of common action eventually, and encourage future action. I'm sorry, my phone is sounding. Okay, so the competition and addressing the possibility of building strength in plurality was definitely something that we took very seriously. And actually the methodology of the forum, of the World Social Forum, that is still being used, that propose to the people who participate to bring the content of the forum, was definitely something that we liked a lot, and of course still like. So the possibility for people to propose activities, as you are now able to propose activities within the frame of the World Social Forum that is arriving now in January. So this is a way of addressing concretely the fact that we are plural, that we are diverse, and that we need, in a sense, to build a sentiment of unity and to be stronger together in the world. Because, of course, we know that even if, that there are so many challenges, and this is it was already, of course, pretty true in the time, the last years, and right now with the pandemic, of course, it's even worse, if that could be worse. The role of facilitation, of organization of this World Social Forum for us, and I believe it's still important, is that the people who organize the World Social Forum are trying to make it as comfortable as possible for people who will, you, who goes in the different territories, and that are bringing concrete solutions. So that was definitely important for us. Why World Social Forum in Canada? This was actually, of course, pretty forums happened before in the global south. So the position we brought, or we put it forward when we organized the World Social Forum in Montreal, was that, of course, the world is round, and there is north in the south and south in the north. Because here in Canada, let's say, we have First Nations, people that were here in this territory before the colonies arrived. And these people were, of course, full of knowledge. And actually, I am now speaking in an unceded territory here in Montreal. What is a territory, First Nation territory, and even if we don't acknowledge it very often. And so there are many inequalities, of course, here that are very different, of course, of the rest of the world. But we are also in the center of the capitalism, actually, and lots of problems come from here. So we thought we might as well address them also here. And here, Canada, let's say, is also problematic in an extractivist way, as most of the mining companies that are doing terrible things in the world, catastrophic things in the world, come from Canada, are installed here in Canada. And so we definitely thought that it was important to address these things and to say we are aware and we need the South also to learn from your experiences and grow together in a world that is not going well, and we definitely need a global response. So in our case, the challenge of the visas was actually a real challenge, of course, and not a challenge just of the World Social Forum, but a challenge of the world. Migration is definitely a big problem in the world, and there are so many people now that are suffering from economic issues, environmental issues, and that are moving, that are forced to move, and that are not having good conditions and respectful and dignity through that process. And so this doing a World Social Forum in Canada was also a way to say, of course, we're far from a perfect world, and we need to address it. We need to talk about this difficulty, and so that was our willingness, also our aim. It was a wonderful experience to organize a World Social Forum and to learn to collectively organize. And this was a big challenge, of course, as it was in, okay, sorry, I'm speaking a little bit fast. I'm going to try to go a little bit slower for the interpreters. Thank you to the interpreters. So it was a very interesting moment of collective learning. There were around 150 organizations involved in the organization of the World Social Forum in Montreal, in the process of organization. Even if it looked like we were only young people in the collective, actually we were in collaboration with around 150 organizations through the whole process of organization. And there were around 1,000 organizations that took part in the World Social Forum. But of course, there are so many challenges when we organize World Social Forum. And I believe one of them, as many of the speakers pointed out already, is to combine, in a sense, diversity and the unity we need to make changes. So this, of course, raises a lot of conflicts. And even if the World Social Forum aims for horizontal structures to avoid hierarchies, yes, I will wrap up. Thank you, Mina. Even if the World Social Forum is aiming all these good things, there are conflicts, there are contradictions, there are paradoxes. And I really believe that the best way to tackle these contradictions is to acknowledge them, address them, speak about them, be aware that they exist, to be able also to move beyond them and be able to work in collaboration. And I really believe that the main strength of the World Social Forum is our own capacity to continue building radical hope for a positive change of paradigm in the world. And of course, this is a very interesting challenge in the context of virtual activities. I really invite all the people who are watching us right now to inscribe activities and to move forward with us, bring a global response to our common issues. Thank you so much for the invitation and all the best.
Thank you so much, Carminda. And it's good to hear from somebody young about their experience and their vision. Thank you. As you know, as you can see, we have not been able to include all the various fora. We hope to in future. We cannot have all the fora in one session, but we do hope to include others like Karachi and all the others by and by, and even more people from the same fora if there is an experience that is important and they would like to, and if people would like to speak about their experience, please feel free to write to us. Now we thought that we would ask, the reason why we thought we would ask Rosa Zuniga, she is from Mexico. She is a popular educator and sociologist. She is currently Secretary General of CEAAL, and she is a representative of this organization on the International Council of the World Social Forum. Mexico is to be the next physical forum, and we would like to hear from her experiences of organizing that, because that's a live forum. And Rosa, if you could speak about that, and then after your presentation, if you could speak about the way that people can participate in the virtual forum as well. But please do speak about your experience of organizing the Mexican forum, after which you can speak on that. Rosa.
Okay. Muchísimas gracias, Mena.
Thank you very much. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes. Yes.
First, I would like to thank you very much. I'm going to speak in Spanish because I feel comfortable with it. I'm in Mexico because virtually I with you in Asia, in this region that I actually do not know. But fortunately, virtuality is boundless. So I have a PowerPoint presentation. I don't know if you can see it. Maybe you can see it.
Not sure if I can share here.
Yes, you can see it. I would like to get it a bit broader. I hope I manage. This is as a part of the organization, or well, in back 2018 or briefly before in Salvador, in Bahia, we had the forum and we kept on having this dialogue, and we had the necessity to trigger the world mobility, and so it was not as easy process because we need to dedicate time and then will and also time. At the same time, we had that the World Forum, Social Forum, can have a forum which can depict what have been occurring back in the 20 years, and we meant to have it in Mexico. And so we would like to admit that there are these conflicts and we cannot deny it. But of course, with the pandemic, situation got worse because the chance to get together was more difficult. And then we summon us on a virtual meeting with all the volunteers, interpreters that are volunteers that are helping us. And I would like to follow the second slide. And this is our symbol, this icon.
Lucy.
Ok, entonces estaba con la marcha.
Therefore, we are going back to our march, our great march that covers also political and cultural aspects for the social democracy, social justice. And what I would like to say is that to our meeting, the meeting of the facilitators is meant to be on next Wednesday. We are planning to have huge opening panels which can open up the dialogue, which will focus on what is occurring today in the world. And all people should ask and tell us, suggest us all the strategies that they like to raise in this week. And we have this timing, and you can see the 14 to 16 time. And this is just our panel. We are just concentrating on it and on this time. And if you can please watch all these previous activities, all the cultural events. So we are meant to fill all this gap that are white to prepare us. So then on Saturday, we are about to have the thematic space. We have 6 thematic topic space. The first focus on peace and war. And I'm planning to have a facilitators group. And this is the group of the facilitators. So please register here. And I will address at the end of the presentation because it's connected to this other group. Then in the second one, we will talk about the economic justice. And on the Wednesdays, we will focus on education, communication, and cultures. And on Wednesday, we are focused on the feminine society and diversity, and then later on, native and ancestral people. And then the social justice and democracy, and when we are preparing this panel. And then finally on Friday, we will focus on the climate, ecology, environment. So in the next winter, we will focus on also these topics. And on Saturday, we will prepare the assemblies that is self-managed by our movement so that we can have a global action agenda. And we might have some activities that can focus on these activities. And then we will have other topics on other futures Agora. And this is the group that is working throughout the whole week. And these are the strategies that are going to be take over in the next months, in the next winter. Then there is the closing launching call for the World's SF. All these panels that you can see will have a cross-cutting themes, gender, combining races, pandemic, and the future of the forum. And these are all the topics, the issues that all the thematic spaces that we will cover during the week. What we would like to signal through this drawing is that we would like to have to raise all the topics that are very urgent for the world. This is the address of our link, forum virtual at World Social Forum 2020.net. And then these are the thematic issues And then you can suggest through our chat, and of course we're also monitoring of the different papers that we are sending it. And this is our webpage, virtual webpage. Then through this page, you can hear the translations, interpretation of different languages, and then a series of newsletters that through which you can keep updated on what we are doing. So on the 23rd of December, we have the form to register activities to cover convergences, assemblies, political cultural events that we will release. So this is actually all the different slots. And then if you have any questions, please go ahead. Otherwise, I would like to go back to the view screen. So Mena, so we are on a process of global mobilizations. So you are really warmly invited to be part of it, to our new Social World Forum.
Thank you so much, Rosa. I'm sure there are questions, but I haven't heard from people. But I wanted to ask you one thing on behalf of all of us. Could you send us this presentation so that we can share it with all the people who were participating in this, and to the others also, your presentation, especially the table? Is that possible? You can tell us a little bit more about how you can help us with also the other information that you said. Could you send us a presentation which we can share? We can translate that in Chinese and other languages and share with others. Yeah. Okay. So great. So we will share this with all the participants who are here. Now I'd like to ask if there are any, I don't see any hands. I don't know whether anybody would like to ask any questions. However, and if there are no questions, I will ask the participants whether they would like to respond, the panelists, whether they would like to respond to each other, because a lot of things that came up in the conversations perhaps also set off some other ideas and responses which the panelists might want to address. So if there are no questions, I will go ahead to that. Mike, are there any questions?
Excuse me. I think the interpretation is working fine now. We seem to have all the channels, so that's good.
Are there any questions, even other questions which, for instance, from the Chinese participants or from anywhere that you would like us to address? Because that's not in the chat. So if it is on another channel, is there anything that you would like to, that Kinchi or would all the other technical people, is there anything you would like us to address? Would you like the panelists to address anything? Else, we will ask the panelists to respond to the points that have been placed by the other panelists for just 3 to 4 minutes, because we don't have that much time either. We just have half an hour.
There is one question from the Chinese chat. Why are we against neoliberalism? Do we want to get into that?
I don't know. It's up to the panelists, really. So anyone from the panelists who would like to take that question before and respond to other questions that have come here? Anyone? Nobody seems to want to take on neoliberalism.
Mena, sí,
Yes, this is a consideration that is fundamental. The fight against the liberalism, against the patriarchy, against fascism, the social injustices, all those causes that led to this system. So this is a focus of our World Social Forum, because we do believe that the pandemic has highlighted not only the health social crisis, human political crisis that reveals through this pandemic, and millions of people are back home. So we have to keep on fighting, because this is our flag, and we have to support those in difficulties.
I would add that we are against neoliberalism, because there was a lot of problems made by this neoliberalism from decades. And the first World Social Forum, a meeting before the World Social Forum, was against Davos, because all the big companies and states like America, United States, or Russia, all the people who are in this Davos discussion against all the sense of life. Like Rosa said, now is the pandemic, but all the international institution, FMI or the World Bank, are cutting on the services, are cutting on education, are cutting on the health. And all 20 years that we are fighting against neoliberalism give us this opportunity to continue, because a lot of problem is made by these big multinationals, and the debt. All the countries from the south they have a lot of debt. How they can pay? How they can pay this World Bank and all these financial institutions? And this is why we are against neoliberalism, because they take our blood. In that sense, there is no space for alternative, for economic, for the cooperatives, for a lot of issues that we cannot do because of this domination of the financial institutions.
Thank you, Amuda.
I'm going to put it in one line.
Okay.
Neoliberalism causes inequality, and inequality causes injustice. And there can be no progress on this planet unless there is equality and social justice, and hence we're opposed to neoliberalism.
Chico, would you like to, with anyone? Please feel free to comment on other things that have come up in the course of the discussion, not only on the question that has so would you like to say anything else about the rest of the discussion, or you want the next speaker?
Oui, très bien. Oui. Et je voudrais dire un mot là. En fait, toute la lutte du
All the
forum,
fight, I cannot hear very well.
depuis le début, un tout petit moment là, je vais
All the fight, all the period, we have always fought against injustice since the birth of our forum. We are fought against this system. There isn't any single country. There is a logic of the managerial organization that is oriented only towards profits, that is accumulation of capitals. I don't think there are problems of social justice and inegalities. What the systems wants, it is to gain money, and there's a kind of an engine, a driver towards competition between people to gain more money, to have, better profit, and through the development of this logic, financial institutions handed up by dominate, and they make money starting from money. They do not make money through production and products, and so as to have a profit surplus, but they make money from money accounting through investments. For instance, we can think of Davos. They just published a text on their vision of the future, and they state quite clearly that is the future will be established, determined by investments. That is, we don't know where money will be in the future. And I think that money has nothing to do with the social justice. That is, I think that everybody should have access to the goods of everybody to live well. I think that the goal is this. So there is a logic, and logic mobilizing the world that also entered socialist countries. The logic that is based on making money, making business, and related to this, there is the destruction of the planet, environmental problems, and that is consumption, excessive consumption. So this system does need consumption and all this. So we should mm, so the
faut que ça soit vendu. Donc, il faut qu'il y ait
we want new money. It has been sold. Otherwise, this is the whole the logic and the dominating culture that is based on money, on profits and consumption. I don't, and this is not based on solidarity. This is my answer. This is why we are against the neoliberalism. As if we do not overcome this logic and this culture, we can go towards the end of the world. And this is also, the destruction of the planet. And many scholars are demonstrated that this logic could lead to the construction of production machines, giant production equipment that are requiring more and more natural resources. This is why this could destroy the world to have products so that it's a giant machine could go on producing itself. And so we have been talking about the possibility of rare materials for these machines. So this is a complex logic, but this is another possible word will be a word that is free from domination, free from money. And another possible word is a word where people are all equal and based on their own solidarity from the smallest to the biggest. So this is why I think we are against neoliberalism. So this is, I hope that this reflection could help you find the right answer.
Thank you, Chico. So before we conclude, just a few words that to many of the participants, many of the ideas and then much of the information would be new. And but then that's how we will have to start by approaching a lot of younger people who might not quite comprehend a lot of what is being said or the responses that we see from activists and from the organizations which are part of the anti-globalization and anti-neoliberalism, which are part of the forum. So I think that perhaps this is one of the things that are different from the time when the social forum was everywhere, generating or attracting large numbers of people. And today we have in Asia where there are there is an upswing of right-wing thinking and a questioning of many of the things which movements have been talking about before. So if neoliberalism neoliberalism prioritizes the market, as Chico was saying, it prioritizes profit. And an extreme form would be, for instance, if the vaccine for COVID were available only to those who can buy it. So if taking public transport would only be available to those who have money, well, only those who have money, if they could go to a hospital in order to cure themselves of really serious illnesses. So when we say neoliberalism, we are actually questioning the privileging of markets and the privileging of profits over the needs and aspirations of people. And as Gautam was saying, that this creates inequality, because when you have a market which decides, you have inequality. And if there is inequality, there is injustice. So I hope that you will be able to read more about why we here, as part of the social forum, are opposed to neoliberal policies, which are followed by most of the governments in Asia. So, before I conclude, just to thank the Chinese, the technical folks who have helped us to set this up, the translators, all of whom are volunteers and providing as much translation as we should have. But this is our first event, and we hope that we will be able to do more events in order to give more information and to make the ideas that are the basis of the social forum more current and bring it to more people. Thank you very much, everybody. And thanks most of all to the panelists who took time to be here. And we hope that we will have you again on panels maybe in future. Mike, is there anything you would like to add?
Thank you for your patience and bearing with us while we sorted out the interpretation. As Mina said, they are volunteers. I would like to thank them for their help. Without them, we wouldn't be able to do this. This, for me, is one of the greatest things about COVID-19, is that it forced us to build our skills to communicate. So great to have participation from China. I think this is hugely important for the development of not only Forum Connect, but the World Social Forum itself. And may this meeting plant the seeds for far greater mobilization around the World Social Forum. This is very important for us. And personally, I want to see us at Davos disrupting and challenging the neoliberal on their own turf. One of these days, this will happen, hopefully, as the movement develops. Thank you again for all your patience. All the best.
Thank you. Bye-bye.